You're listening to the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelsey. They're cracking jokes, swapping stories, doing what they do best, peeling back the curtain on the NFL. Then suddenly the tone shifts. Deion Sanders leans in, his voice steady, his words heavy. He's not talking about Colorado. He's not reminiscing about his NFL glory days. He's talking about a conspiracy, a game behind the game. And at the center of it all, Shedeur Sanders, sitting quietly behind Joe Flacco on the Cleveland Browns depth chart. Let's pause for a second here. Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl champion. He's got rings, he's got experience, and yes, he can still launch a deep ball when his arm feels good. But he's 40 years old. 40. The NFL doesn't stop for anyone, not even former champions. And when your future sits on the bench wearing the number of a kid who's been bred for this game, mentored by greatness, and already proven his poise on the college stage, it's not hard to see why Deion Sanders is furious.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Because to Coach Prime, this isn't about patience or development. It's about politics. The Browns aren't protecting Shedeur, he says. They're protecting their hierarchy. They're leaning on veteran leadership, even if that means leaving a Ferrari in the garage while they keep driving the family minivan. And if there's one thing Prime can't stand, it's wasted potential. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Coach Prime reveals that teams like the Eagles and Ravens weren't just casually interested in Shedeur during the draft. They were circling him for leverage. That's right. Shedeur wasn't being evaluated purely as a quarterback. He was being used as a bargaining chip. Draft Shedeur, or even threaten to draft him, and suddenly Lamar Jackson's camp in Baltimore gets nervous. Suddenly Jalen Hurts' agents in Philly feel the heat. It's corporate chess. The rookies aren't pawns for development, they're pawns for negotiation. That's the conspiracy Deion dropped on New Heights. And honestly, it tracks. Because the NFL has always been about more than just the game. But here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders isn't some chip on a contract table. He's not a name you throw around to squeeze a few million off a veteran's deal. He's a quarterback ready to step into the fire right now. And when you treat him like less than that, you don't just insult the player. You insult the name Sanders. And let me remind you, the Sanders name is different. This is a family that doesn't just play football. They live it, they shape it, they market it. Deion didn't just have a Hall of Fame career. He built a brand before branding was even a buzzword. He turned confidence into a currency. And now, Shedeur is carrying that torch into a league that still hasn't figured out how to handle athletes who want more than just a roster spot. So when the Browns stash Shedeur behind Flacco, Prime doesn't see development. He sees politics. He sees the old NFL trying to clip the wings of the new. And he's not staying quiet about it. Here's the part that Browns fans don't want to hear. Shedeur's shot is coming whether Cleveland likes it or not. The NFL is brutal. Injuries happen. Performance slips. Veteran quarterbacks who were reliable yesterday look shaky today. And when that moment comes, and it always comes, who are the Browns going to turn to? Not another aging backup. Not a practice squad journeyman. They'll turn to Shedeur. And when he steps onto that field, everything changes. The media will swarm. The fans will watch. Every throw, every drive, every snap will be dissected. And if Shedeur delivers, and there's every reason to believe he will, the Browns front office will look foolish for keeping him locked away for so long. They'll have to answer for it. And Deion Sanders will be standing there, receipts in hand, saying, "I told you so." But let's zoom out, because this is bigger than Cleveland. This is about how the NFL handles its young quarterbacks. Think about it. How many times have we seen teams bury rookies under the weight of waiting their turn? How many times has veteran leadership been code for, "We don't trust you yet"? And yet, when rookies are thrown into the fire, what happens? Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud. These guys didn't sit around holding clipboards for years. They played. They struggled. They learned. And because of that, they grew. Now look at Shedeur. He's got the poise. He's got the arm. He's got the name. And instead of letting him cook, The Browns are starving him. That's why Prime is livid. That's why he's on podcasts lighting matches. Because he knows the longer Cleveland waits, the more they risk wasting what could be a generational talent. And let's not pretend this is just about football. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's a cultural figure. His NIL deals at Colorado? Record-breaking. His social media presence? Massive. His marketability? Off the charts. He's not just another rookie. He's an empire waiting to be built. And if Cleveland doesn't recognize that, if they keep treating him like just another name on the depth chart, they're not just wasting a player, they're wasting a movement. That's what Deion is really warning them about. And here's the irony. Cleveland needs Shedeur more than they realize. This is a franchise desperate for an identity. A team that's been stumbling in and out of rebuilds for decades. They've had quarterbacks come and go like bad house guests. But in Shedeur Sanders, they've got something rare, talent and star power. And instead of building around him, they're burying him. That's why Prime's words sting so much, because they're true. Now, let's play this forward. Scenario 1. Cleveland wakes up. They realize Shedeur isn't just ready, he's necessary. They give him the keys, he lights up the field, and suddenly the Browns aren't a punchline, they're a storyline. Scenario 2. They drag their feet. They keep clinging to Flacco, keep hiding behind veteran leadership. And when Shedeur finally does get his shot, he remembers every slight, every wasted week, every headline about being not ready. And when he proves them wrong, the narrative won't be about the Browns developing a star. It'll be about the Browns holding one back. And guess what happens after that? Other teams come knocking. Other franchises that actually value youth, talent, and marketability make their move. And Cleveland? They'll be left holding the bag, wondering how they let another one slip away. So here we are. Deion Sanders didn't just call out the Browns. He called out the system. He called out the politics. He called out the way the NFL undervalues young talent while propping up veterans past their prime. And whether you love him or hate him, one thing is undeniable. Coach Prime says what everyone else is too scared to say. The Browns are on notice. The NFL is on notice. And Shedeur Sanders? He's waiting, quietly preparing, knowing his moment is coming. When it does, it won't just be a debut. It'll be a reckoning. Now I'll throw it to you. Do you think Deion is right? Are the Browns wasting Shedeur Sanders' talent? Or is this just another case of a father being too loud for his own good? Should rookies always wait their turn? Or is it time to break that tradition? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know where you stand. And if you're here for stories like this, where sports meets drama, politics, and legacy, make sure you subscribe. Because this saga? It's just getting started. Coach Prime lit the fuse. Now all that's left is to watch the explosion. You've got to remember who we're dealing with here. Deion Sanders is not some nameless parent sitting in the stands with a foam finger. He's not a bitter ex-player chasing headlines. He is one of the most decorated, respected, and recognizable figures in football history. His words don't just float in the air, they land like boulders. And when he says Cleveland is wasting Shedeur, he's not just making noise, he's setting fire to a narrative. What makes this explosive is the Browns' reputation. We're not talking about a team with a spotless track record. This is the franchise that spent decades trapped in mediocrity, burning through quarterbacks like matches in a rainstorm. They've drafted the wrong guys, held onto the wrong guys, and let true potential walk out the door more times than fans care to remember. So when Deion points at them and says, "You're doing it again," it cuts deep. It's history repeating itself, only this time the stakes are higher, because Shedeur isn't just another quarterback prospect. He's a symbol. Think about Shedeur's journey up to this point. He was raised in the spotlight, not just as a football player but as a Sanders. Every step he's taken has been compared, magnified, and scrutinized. And still he's delivered. At Colorado, he wasn't just a quarterback. He was the quarterback who made people care about Colorado football again. He handled national attention, wild expectations, and weekly chaos, and he did it with calm, confidence, and precision. That's not normal. That's a young man who's been shaped for pressure. So now he's in Cleveland, sitting behind Joe Flacco. And sure, Flacco has the resume. But let's be honest, he's not the future. He's not the spark that changes a franchise's destiny. He's a placeholder, a bridge. And what Deion is shouting from the mountaintop is simple. Why keep driving over the same rickety bridge when you've got a brand new highway waiting to be opened? That's the heart of this drama. Deion isn't just upset because his son isn't starting. He's upset because he sees a cycle playing out. He sees an NFL still obsessed with hierarchy and optics, more concerned with veteran respect than unleashing raw talent. He sees a league where rookies are expected to wait their turn, even when they're more prepared than the veterans they're sitting behind. And to him, that isn't development, it's sabotage. Now add in the draft conspiracy. That little bombshell Deion dropped about teams like the Eagles and Ravens sniffing around Shedeur not because they wanted him to start, but because they wanted leverage in contract negotiations. That right there is a revelation that exposes the machine behind the curtain. It's not just about talent evaluation anymore, it's about chess moves. Draft Shedeur or threaten to draft him, and suddenly a Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts has less negotiating power. It's corporate leverage disguised as team building. And when you think about it, that's exactly the kind of cutthroat business Prime has always hated. Because for him, talent is sacred. You don't use it as a bargaining chip. You cultivate it. You celebrate it. You unleash it. So when his son gets caught in that machine, when Shedeur becomes a pawn instead of the centerpiece he deserves to be, Deion isn't going to stay quiet. He's going to do what he's always done. Take the spotlight, grab the mic, and blast the truth until no one can ignore it. And that's why this moment feels so much bigger than just one podcast appearance. This isn't just about the Browns. This is a shot fired across the entire NFL. Because let's be real, if Shedeur was playing in almost any other league, he'd already be starting. Basketball players don't get babied for years. Baseball prospects might grind in the minors, but when they're ready, they're called up. Football though? Football clings to this idea that rookies must sit and suffer before they shine. And sometimes, sure, that works. But other times, it just kills momentum. It wastes opportunity. It stalls greatness. And here's where the story takes on this almost poetic tension. Shedeur isn't complaining. He's not throwing tantrums. He's showing up, putting in the work, running scout team reps against one of the best defenses in the league. He's practicing against monsters like Myles Garrett, absorbing lessons in real time. He's doing his part quietly. Meanwhile, his father is the one raising hell. It's this perfect balance, the son proving his patience, the father refusing to let patience be mistaken for passivity. And that balance is what makes this so powerful. Because when Shedeur finally gets his shot, and he will, the receipts are already waiting. Every headline about him being not ready, every talking head defending the Browns' decision, every whisper of doubt, it all becomes fuel. And when he steps onto the field and delivers, when he silences stadiums and lights up defenses, the story will already be written. Prime called it. Prime knew it. Prime said it from day one. And Cleveland will be left scrambling. They'll have to explain why they hesitated, why they let a star sit idle, why they clung to a safety blanket instead of betting on the fire in front of them. And that's not just bad optics, it's bad business. Because the Sanders family doesn't forgive slights easily. If the Browns keep dragging their feet, they risk not just wasting Shedeur but losing him altogether. And if that happens, some other team, the kind that knows how to build around stars, will gladly take him. So now the Browns are in a bind. Do they double down on patience, risking Prime's wrath and their own reputation? Or do they hand Shedeur the keys sooner rather than later, risking backlash if it goes wrong but reaping glory if it goes right? It's a gamble either way, but one path feels like evolution and the other feels like extinction. And that's why Deion Sanders is so loud right now. Because he knows the stakes. He knows what his son can do. And he knows that in a league this ruthless, silence gets you nowhere. You don't wait for the NFL to see your value. You demand it. You take it. You force them to recognize what's right in front of their face. That's exactly what Prime is doing. He's not just a father defending his son, he's a strategist defending his legacy. He's ensuring that when history looks back on Shedeur Sanders, the story isn't about a wasted talent but about a young quarterback who forced his way into greatness, backed by a father who refused to let politics dim his shine. And here's the truth, this drama is far from over. We're at the opening act. The real fireworks will come the first time Shedeur takes a snap in a real game, the first time he proves in front of millions that he's not just ready, he's inevitable. And when that moment comes, every critic, every skeptic, every hesitant coach will have to admit that Coach Prime saw it before anyone else. So the question now isn't if Shedeur will rise. It's how long the Browns can stall before they're forced to admit that their future is sitting right there on the bench, waiting, watching, and preparing. Because when he finally gets unleashed, it won't just be another quarterback debut. It'll be the culmination of everything Prime has been shouting. It'll be vindication. And Cleveland? They'll either be the team that believed too late, or the team smart enough to believe just in time. Think about who we're talking about. This isn't some dad writing angry Facebook posts because his son didn't get enough playing time in high school. This is Deion Sanders. Prime time. The guy who made cornerback play look like Broadway theater. The man who took two-sport stardom and turned it into a cultural phenomenon. The man who walked into a Colorado program that was dead in the water and, with nothing more than his swagger, his energy, and his faith, turned it into the most talked-about story in college football. That same guy is now staring down the NFL, pointing at the Cleveland Browns and saying, "You're wasting my son." That alone is heavy enough, but then you add the context. Shedeur Sanders is not just another rookie quarterback. He's not some late-round flyer, some project stashed on the practice squad for a rainy day. He's been groomed for this moment his whole life. His father is a Hall of Famer. His entire upbringing has been about preparation, performance, and pressure. When other kids were learning to tie their cleats, Shedeur was being taught how to read coverages and handle the weight of expectation. And now, when the NFL stage is finally his, the Browns have decided he belongs behind Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, 40 years old, with a resume that's more about the past than the future. Sure, he's steady. Sure, he's seen it all. But Flacco isn't the future of the Cleveland Browns, and everyone knows it. So why put Shedeur in the shadows? That's the part that has Deion fuming. To him, this isn't just about patience. It's politics. It's optics. It's the NFL doing what the NFL always does, leaning on veterans, even when the better play might be trusting the kid who's hungry, who's ready, and who could change everything. And this isn't just Deion blowing smoke. This is a man with receipts. On the New Heights podcast, he didn't just say Cleveland was mishandling Shedeur, he revealed something far more damning. He talked about how teams like the Eagles and Ravens circled Shedeur in the draft, not necessarily because they wanted him to be their quarterback, but because they wanted him as leverage. Think about that. Using a human being's career, a generational talent's future, as nothing more than a bargaining chip to pressure Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts in contract talks. That's cold. That's ruthless. That's the NFL's business side, naked and exposed. And to Deion Sanders, that's personal. Because when it's your son, it's not just strategy, it's insult. It's exploitation. It's saying, we don't see your value for what it is. We see your value for what we can manipulate out of someone else. And if there's one thing Deion has always fought against, it's being undervalued. He turned his entire career into a war against people who underestimated him, and now he's watching the same machine aim that underestimation at his son. Of course he's going to explode. Now here's the kicker. While Deion is torching the NFL on podcasts, Shedeur himself is silent. He's not ranting. He's not complaining. He's not asking for sympathy. He's grinding. He's suiting up for every practice, running scout team reps against Myles Garrett and one of the best defensive units in football, sharpening his craft, staying ready. That's the dichotomy here, the father making noise, the son making progress. One keeping the pressure on the system, the other quietly preparing to prove the system wrong. And that, honestly, is the genius of the Sanders family. Deion is the lightning bolt, the attention grabber, the one who keeps the spotlight trained exactly where he wants it. Shedeur is the steady flame, burning quietly until it's time to set the field on fire. Together, they're unstoppable. But here's where it gets dramatic. Deion knows the NFL season better than anyone. He knows quarterbacks don't stay healthy. He knows veterans falter. He knows opportunity always knocks, usually when you least expect it. And he's betting everything that when Shedeur's number is called, Whether it's next week, next month, or next season, he'll be ready. And when he delivers, the entire narrative will flip overnight. Imagine it. The Browns are down by 2 touchdowns, the offense is sputtering, and the fans are restless. Flacco's arm looks tired, his legs look heavy, and the calls for change echo through the stadium. Then, out of the tunnel, Shedeur Sanders jogs onto the field. The cameras lock on him. The commentators scramble to reset the storyline. And within a few drives, the Browns' offense has a new rhythm, a new energy, a new identity. That's the moment Deion is predicting. That's the moment he's daring the NFL to prepare for. Because when it happens, he'll be able to say, "I told you so." And the Browns will have to answer for why it took so long. But what makes this so fascinating is that it's not just about Cleveland. This is a critique of the NFL as a whole. Deion is exposing the way the league clings to tradition, the way it prioritizes hierarchy and optics over raw talent and momentum. He's pulling back the curtain on a system that loves to control players, even when that control suffocates growth. And in doing so, he's reminding everyone that the league isn't just about football, it's about politics, power, and perception. The risk for the Browns couldn't be higher. If they wait too long and Shedeur delivers elsewhere, they won't just lose a quarterback, they'll lose a movement. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a player. He's a brand. He's a cultural figure. He's got name recognition, social media pull, nil legacy, and the charisma to be more than just a quarterback. He's a face of the franchise waiting to happen. If Cleveland fumbles this, if they keep letting politics guide them, some other team will swoop in, give Shedeur the keys, and reap the benefits. And Cleveland will be left with nothing but regret. And that's why Deion's words hit so hard. They're not idle threats. They're not baseless gripes. They're a warning, a prophecy, a promise that if you undervalue a Sanders, you will pay for it. So where does this go? We're in the build-up phase now. The pressure cooker. Every week Shedeur doesn't play, the tension grows. Every podcast appearance from Deion pours more gasoline on the fire. Every Browns misstep adds fuel to the story. And when the breakthrough comes, it's not going to feel like just another quarterback change. It's going to feel like destiny snapping into place. That's the drama of it all. The Browns can try to control the narrative, but in the end, the Sanders family has already won the attention game. Now it's just a matter of time before Shedeur wins the performance game. And when those two forces collide, attention and performance, the NFL won't just have a quarterback to reckon with. It'll have a revolution. So now the question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders will get his chance. It's whether Cleveland will be smart enough to realize what they've got before someone else does. Because the one thing you can't afford in this league is to sit on gold while pretending it's copper. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is sitting on the sideline, quietly waiting, while his father is out there telling anyone who will listen, "This is treasure, and if you don't recognize it, you'll lose it." Now I'll throw it back to you. Do you think Deion is right? Are the Browns really wasting Shedeur, or is this just the normal growing pains of a rookie quarterback's career? Should Cleveland be praised for patience, or blasted for politics? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear how you see it. And if you love stories like this, where sports meets drama, family loyalty, and league politics, make sure you subscribe. Because this isn't the end of the Sanders saga. It's only the beginning. Coach Prime has spoken. The Browns are on notice. And Shedeur Sanders? He's just getting warmed up.